hope everybody is having a beautiful Monday, moon day evening. We will give it just a moment for the lag to catch up or let everyone get the notification that we are live. I am coming to you from my bedroom tonight simply because my son is home, my husband is home with my son. They're downstairs, but they'll also be going to bed soon, and the bedroom that they're sleeping in is right next door to my office, and it can be kind of loud through the walls when I'm talking. And of course, we want him to go to sleep. We want our child to go to sleep. So I'm here in the other bedroom, in my bedroom. And when I say my bedroom, yes, like the master bedroom, but it's my bedroom. Me and my husband have different bedrooms. If you didn't know that, now you know. Nothing wrong there. He snores, and we alternate beds with our kid to give ourselves the comfort of sleep every few nights. And so, yeah, it also gives me the opportunity to have another space that I can stream from or film from if I need to. And also, all of my stuff is in here now. My altar is in here now. My desk is in here now. I've created my own little sanctuary in this master bedroom. So there's a lot of good juju and energy that I've worked to build in the past week and a half or so to prepare for this upcoming new moon portal and the Scorpion lunar cycle, and just in preparation to get some balls rolling in the direction that I want to go over this next year. So welcome to my bedroom, welcome to my bed with my moon blanket tonight, and welcome to our virtual new moon circle honoring Scorpio energy. Hi, Lisa, by the way, and hi, everyone else that is joining in. Sometimes it shows me people are there and there are more people there. Sometimes it's the opposite. There are people there and it tells me nobody's there. So just hello to everybody that is here tonight, and welcome back if you were somebody that attended our virtual moon circles before, or maybe you tuned into the recordings. Welcome back to these circles again. I did take a short hiatus for multiple reasons. Number one, I took time off to turn 40. I turned 40 with the Libra new moon and solar eclipse on October 14th, and I wanted to take time to be receptive and open to whatever was coming through with that, and also just take the time to celebrate. I also took a fall hiatus to do some traveling with my family, also some traveling solo, take in some trainings, do some other things to enhance my own practices and offerings and my professional life. This weekend, I just finished my Reiki master training and received my Reiki master attunement, which has been a few years in the coming. And, now I feel ready after taking that time off to start moving forward again with these moon circles and with everything else that I'm ready to bring through. We're going to talk about this tonight with the Scorpio new moon, but this is a lunar portal where we are being encouraged to be very creative, embrace the idea of conception on multiple levels, not just with human life, but whatever we're trying to, conceive and fertilize and grow and bring through right now. Now is the time to start working towards that. So I'm feeling that energy as well as I start to come back into the groove of work and back into this groove of sharing astrological insights with you. And I have a lot of really exciting things to come. I'm not going to talk about them tonight, but I will be coming to you through your inbox and through social media and through stories on social media in the next few days to let you know about some exciting announcements and offerings that are going to be coming up in the near future. So if this is your first time joining, I also want to take a moment to introduce myself. My name is Vina Lene Rachel. I am a moon priestess, an intuitive, a medium, now a Reiki master, mom, wife, many crowns I wear and the way that I rule my life. But one of the things that I'm very into is the moon. And I have been into the moon for about 12, 13 years now. I don't think we're quite at that magical number of 13, but we're getting very, very close to it. And there are 13 moons in a year, by the way. That's what I mean by magical. But I have been learning about the moon, tuning into the moon for about 11, 12 years now. And I'm also somebody that's been into astrology my entire life. I have always been into, the stars and the constellations and the planets and horoscopes and Chinese astrology and Vedic astrology and Greek mythology, Western tropical astrology. There's just something about the moon, the stars, and the planets that I have a primal in attraction to. And so with that, over the past several years, I've worked to develop these moon circles and these times to meet up and talk a little bit more about the moon. And this is something that I've been offering, for almost 6 years, 7 years now, I believe. I think it might even be 8 years. I'm going to have to look it up and see how long I've been doing moon circles. It's been a really long time. So it is something that I plan to continue to do. I am going to be switching up the way I do moon circles in the next few months, but for now, we're just kind of continuing the way that we usually do. So with these circles, I invite you to get very comfortable, maybe have something to drink, something to write with if you want to take notes. Feel free to utilize the chat here if you want to ask questions, share comments, share insights, anything that wants to come through. If you want to give voice to it in the chat, please do so. And if you are catching the replay, you can always put things in the comments on the replay as well. I do go back and try to answer those. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm hitting my microphone. Sorry, I got to get used to that. But welcome, whether it's your first time, whether you've been here as a veteran, no pun intended, 2 days ago, we had Veterans Day. But, if you are used to these circles or not, I just invite you into comfort. And this is a safe space for you to share, or just a space for you to tune in and receive some more guidance on how to navigate this new moon portal and also navigate this Scorpio lunar cycle. So I always like to start our moon circles by taking a deep breath. I would love if you would join me wherever you are. Can you find a tall spine? Can you find supportive posture? Can you take a deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth, and just decompress? Soften your body, let go of tension, shake it out if you need to. Connect to the energy of the earth. Right now, we are in this new moon portal. And when we're in a new moon, gravity is stronger on the earth. So we might feel a little bit more able to sink down to the earth, or we might feel tired. We might feel lethargic. We might feel unmotivated. We might feel in our lower feelings or lower frequencies. There's a lot of different things that can happen in a new moon. But let's just use the power of breath to anchor into the present so that we can really tune in to pay attention, and we can let go of maybe any of that physical tension that could be standing in the way of our comfort to be able to truly listen and take in, what's going to come through tonight. So maybe this time again, deep breath in through the nose and a little bit of sound with that exhale. Just like a gentle sigh, shake it out. Let go, loosen up, whatever you need to do. And let's take one more breath, maybe reaching the arms overhead this time or sweeping overhead. Inhale and open mouth, exhale. Just pulling those arms down, relaxing, shaking it out, letting it go. And let's start to segue into this new moon in Scorpio and what that is all about. Now, of course, you can go to my website, vinalene.com. I have written about Scorpio season. I have written about this Scorpio new moon, also the Vedic astrology of this moon, which I'll discuss here in a bit tonight. But you can go and read about those things. We'll also have a tarot reading tonight, and you can always go to my website to read about that as well. But as far as our circle tonight, yes, we will have time to just share what is going on. You know, maybe you have some questions, maybe you have some concerns that you want to put voice to in the comments, but otherwise I will give you a little bit of insight about what's going on with Scorpio season, what it means to be in Scorpio season, what is the Scorpio energy and archetype, how does that apply to us right now, whether we are Scorpio or not, water sign or not. We're also going to talk about the new moon being in Scorpio and what that means for us. I also want to touch base a little bit on Mars tonight, because Mars and Scorpio do have a deep, historical, intense relationship, and Mars's energy is enhanced right now underneath this new moon. I'm also going to just give you some elements that you might want to use, some tools that you might want to use, some techniques that you might want to use during this new moon lunar portal, and we will discuss the Vedic astrology of this moon tonight. Finally, we will wrap up with a tarot reading, and I have written about that on my website, but sometimes the things I say are different from the things I write, so it is likely that you are going to hear some different things tonight about the astrology of what's going on currently, about the current moon, and about the tarot reading that I pulled for this new moon in Scorpio. I'm just going to wave to some of the people that are here. By the way, if you're just tuning in, just welcome. Feel free to use that chat if you need to. Feel free to say hi. Tell us where you're from. Tell us what's going on with you. I always love to know if you have these signs in your big three. So I'm curious if anybody here tonight is a Scorpio, or if you have a Scorpio moon, Scorpio rising. Do you have a Scorpio, any Scorpio big three? Maybe you have a Scorpio stellium, Scorpio north node. Let us know. Let us know in the comments. I would really have to look up my chart. I should know my chart better than that. You know what? I can look it up. It's right here in front of me. And why don't we look it up really quick? By the way, there is some background noise. I had the window open because we're going to be smudging tonight, and I just want to make sure that smoke has somewhere to go. And it's a little busy outside because I live on a busy road. But if I need to close that window in a bit, if that's distracting, please let me know. But otherwise, I'll maybe close it after we smudge, after that smoke moves through. So I don't want to say that I don't have any Scorpio in my chart, because I believe that I do, and I just can't remember where it is. I want to say it's Saturn, but I want to double check. Yes, my Saturn is in Scorpio, so that's where my Scorpio energy comes into play. I also have the Scorpio constellation tattooed over my elbow to the outside and inside to represent my father, who was a Scorpio. I have a little golden scorpion on my elbow here to represent that Scorpio energy. Also my sun, and this tattoo has to do with deep meaning of my fertility as well, my fertility journey. My sun is a Scorpio rising, and so there is a little bit of Scorpio energy in my bloodline, in my star seeded DNA, but not very strongly. I don't have a lot of water in my chart. Water is sort of my missing element. So I think it's why I'm so attracted to the moon. That is our internal water space. The moon also controls the water, impacts the water here on Earth. And so by attuning to the moon, I start to feel very balanced with my energy. I feel like I'm getting a sort of medicine that I need. Oh yeah, of course, Amy. Welcome, Amy, to the transmission. She is a Scorpio sun, and of course she loves Scorpio season. Although I'm sure the Scorpio season is a little bit different from you. The weather's been a little bit different here locally where we are, but yeah, it is like a Christmas. I feel like we had the Witches' New Year with Samhain, Halloween, and Witches' New Year, and this time, it seems to be a time of darkness, but it's also a time where we find our internal light, and we start to string up the lights, and even spark that internal light of motivation and inspiration for change, and all of that can be a really exciting time. And she also said she has multiple places with Scorpio in her chart. Lisa says the Scorpio season is so crazy for her. She's been to several funerals. The last funeral she went to was for her late husband's family, and I know you lost your husband last year, Lisa, so that's still very fresh with you. But she said you felt so refreshed being there with them. Yeah, this is a time, Scorpio is a time when we feel a lot of kind of the death, the dying with that darkness. It's a time when we're bringing forward Halloween, Day of the Dead, All Souls Day. It's a time when we celebrate our ancestors and we celebrate our family, maybe those that have passed, our loved ones that have passed. And sometimes death can bring a lot of people together and bring a lot of life together. And so it is this constant cycle, and that really is what Scorpio energy is about. It's about life, death, and rebirth. Right now, well, let's just back up a little bit. Astrologically, the zodiac is about the cycle of darkness and light. So right now we are moving into darker times. We're moving towards winter solstice. That'll be here in a few months. And so with that, the light of the day is decreasing and there is more darkness. And so when we move into these times of more darkness, with that, we start to find, kind of the death and the dying that goes along with it. However, even though we're moving into darker times, we are still in a planting season. Like, people plant garlic right now. It's not too late to plant quite a few plants to harvest in the spring or the early summer right now. Now, of course, these are going to be really resilient things that we plant with the intentions to grow next year. And the same applies, not only to actual food that you want to grow, but plants that you want to grow, but also the intentions that you're ready to seed and grow and collect harvest on in the spring or the beginning of the summer next year. So whatever you're setting right now, these intentions with the Scorpio no moon, they really need to be kind of like long-term, resilient type of intentions, things that you can show up and you can work on every day, big intentions, not things that you are going to achieve quickly, things that you need to be patient on, things that you need to do work on. Don't make your manifestation practice easy on yourself. That limits you and that holds you back from true growth. Let yourself find a true intention, a big goal that you want to meet sometime by summer solstice of next year. And, hopefully maybe even by spring equinox of next year or Taurus season of next year, which is the opposite of Scorpio. Can you move in that time of like April, May, June, and have a big goal that you have to show up to yourself on a regular basis in order to achieve? Just a little food for thought to motivate you there. Okay, so I kind of lost my thought, sorry, but I do want to ground in before we go any further. That's part of the reason I'm kind of all over the place. This is the energy of water, which cannot be contained. Scorpio is a water sign, but we also have the energy of wind and fire coming in through Vedic astrology and also through the other archetypes of Scorpio, the eagle and the phoenix, in addition to the scorpion. So there's just a lot of energy all over the place, and I want to ground that and contain that right now. So I'm going to bring in a few elements tonight. I suggest that these are elements that you would work with right now in your own practices with this new moon, or they might just be things that you want to keep around you during this Scorpio lunar cycle. I always like to start with the element of earth, and I like to start with crystals. So basically anything black. Anything black. You could have shungite, you could have obsidian, you could have black onyx. There's a lot of different black crystals, black tourmaline. There's many different black crystals that you could have around. So I just have multiple black crystals here with me tonight. I've got an onyx. I've got even a black moonstone. I've got a sphere here. This is kind of like a reverse crystal ball, and I'm going to talk about that tonight. But anything black or dark, and then in addition to that, you might want to have some black stones that are shiny or polished, that have a reflective surface on them. I'll get to that in a moment, but the black stones in general, they just absorb negative energy. They also help us to embrace the magic in the darkness, this might just seem like a black rock, but we know that this is a very powerful black rock and it's doing a lot of things that we just can't see with our eyes. So you want to make sure that, you know, anything black that you want to bring in right now, that's going to be useful to you crystal wise. And then I also suggest, if you can get your hands on it, if you're dealing with a particular toxin, poison, whether that be something like actually physical or it's something more energetic, you might want to look into getting peacock ore. So can you see that sheen and that sparkle there? That's not the light. That's actually the crystal just reflecting here. I don't have a light or a ring light or anything right now. So isn't that beautiful? So peacock ore has the ability to help us purify, and it also helps us to process any poisons that we might be working to get out of our body right now or metabolize. Peacocks, interestingly enough, cannot be poisoned. They can eat poisonous things. I'm not really sure what. I'm not sure if they're eating scorpions or what, but they will process the poison and not get sick from it. So peacock ore is kind of the same thing. You know, it is a dark blackish crystal, but it's got that peacock sheen or hue to it. And that's going to help you absorb some of the deeper, darker energies that maybe your other common black crystals couldn't get to. Some of the more toxic, festering energies, we're going to work to heal those with peacock ore in this lunar cycle. Now, I said that I would tell you why you want to have reflective surfaces with your crystals, your black crystals. That's because you might want to enter into the practice of scrying with this new moon. Scrying is gazing into a dark reflective surface to look for visions, pictures, signs, you know, anything that wants to come through. It's kind of like a reverse crystal ball, like I said, so it's not clear. Like, as you can see, this black moonstone, in fact, there's a little bit of a reflective surface from the light above, which is kind of over to me. But I'm going to hold this up right now, and you can just see if there's any sort of, you're not going to see my phone reflection, obviously, but is there anything in this that you see right now? You know, practice a little scrying. I'll move it, give you a different angle. So this stone is not clear. This is a gray, black stone. But maybe you're seeing a sort of shape, a place, a person, a feeling, something being revealed to you. I'm going to get to the darkest part. Okay. So if you did see anything, feel free to jot that down or make sure you make a note of that after this circle. But any reflective surface will do. If you don't have a crystal, like a black crystal, like literally I'm looking at this metal railing on this chair right now by my desk, and it's giving off a reflective surface. So it can be anything with a dark black reflective surface. You can practice a little scrying, and that can be pretty magical for you. Okay, let's move on to in addition to the elements, the crystals, I also like to bring in the element of smudging in some sort of way. The element of smudging, the practice of smudging with the element of earth. I have this stick that has a little bit of white sage, lavender, and I think it has cedar wood. I'm pretty positive. So this is a smudging stick for the heart space. Right now with all of this darkness, this can be really heavy and hard on our heart. And, you know, these are just trying times in the world right now that bring us a lot of heaviness in our heart. So I'm going to combine this smudging stick. I'm going to hold a little bit of glass over this, but I'm going to combine this with the element of fire. And this fire is going to transform this earth element into our third element, which is the smoke, which I know you're seeing there. By the way, people are enjoying the peacock ore, and somebody Amy saw a heck of a face there. A hell of a face. Let's say it. Hell, it's Scorpio season. Try to keep it friendly, but I mean, hell, is that really a bad thing to say? Okay, those are my, that's my Southern Baptist secular religious programming that is still slightly programmed into me, apparently, when I noticed that just now. So we have the smoke coming off right now, and smudging smoke is purifying. This is going to cleanse our space that we're sharing together. This is going to cleanse the space that I'm in. I'm actually going to take this around in a clockwise direction just to help clear the energy around me, around you, around the technology that I'm using to tune into you, just kind of everywhere around here. We want to get rid of anything that no longer serves. Speaking of toxic, bacteria, viruses, EMFs, anything in the air that could be dangerous to our wellness or our health, we want to get rid of that now. And it's always interesting because the smudging smoke will go in the direction that it needs to go. And right now it seems to just be going kind of straight up and out the window over here. I don't know if you can see that. And you might also notice that the smudging stick is dying down pretty quickly. So I always trust that the smoke stops when it's ready to stop, once I've moved it in the direction I need to. So I'm going to continue to let that burn, and we're just going to let that hang out there. But I do want to fan out this smoke with my eagle feather tonight. And, the eagle I mentioned is one of the archetypes of Scorpio energy. And this is another way to tap into the element of wind. Of course, it doesn't have to be an eagle feather. You could have any sort of feather that you want. But I'm just going to also fan a little bit of this energy, away from you. We're going to get rid of anything there. I'm going to kind of tap the phone. Tap you, tap myself. Just get rid of everything. Move it out the window. Smudging stick is burnt out. Cleared space. And I'm now going to move on to the element of water. And this is a smudging spray with a little bit of Spanish sage, water, witch hazel, and there are black obsidian stones in there, chip stones. Again, just enhancing the water to help dispel any negativity, any negative energy. So I'm just going to bring that down on me, and I'm going to give you a little spritz. Are you ready for it? Close your eyes if you need it. I'm going to give you 3. You need 3. 3 is a powerful number in Scorpio season. It symbolizes life, death, rebirth, that archetype. Oh man, that's where I digressed from. The clarity after the smudging. I started talking about death, didn't get to the life rebirth part of Scorpio. I mentioned that this is a time to bring through creative ideas. So even in this darkness where there's all of this death around, we have this planting season, we have this ability to harvest, but we do have to really hone in on what we want. We need to get specific about those desires. We're not just planting generic seeds right now. So in addition to this water that I used for the smudging spray, I do have a couple of oils I would suggest you work with tonight. You might want to use clary sage. Clary sage helps you get very clear. It opens up your third eye. This can be a time, again, when we have a lot of darkness. It can be difficult to find where we need to go or find the answers that we're seeking. And so when we use clary sage, that just helps us to open up our psychic senses, open up our intuition, and also open up the ability and the faith to trust whatever's coming through with those abilities and be able to find more answers overall. You might also want to work with wild orange. Wild orange helps to enhance your sacral chakra. Right now, we are in a water-ruled moon, and our internal water spaces are found in our second energy center, in our sacral chakra. This is a space that harbors not only creativity and emotional processing, but it's also our sensuality, our sexuality. It's more of the mysterious, the taboo. It's the menstrual cycle. There's that life, death, rebirth coming in again. This is where we tap into all of those things. And so, wild orange can help to open that up for you if you're struggling with a blocked sacral chakra. If you are just struggling with manifestation in general, you might want to use cinnamon. Now, I am allergic to cinnamon oil. I had that confirmed recently through testing, and so I don't touch cinnamon oil anymore with my bare hands. But I did bring in cinnamon spice. Now, I know that's not a water element. We're talking about the essential oils for the element of water, but I did want to mention cinnamon with this Scorpio new moon, because cinnamon has the ability to quicken your wishes and your desires. So you could, set up a grid with your wishes and desires and sprinkle a little cinnamon on top. Or if you're preparing a spell jar, you could put either a drop of cinnamon oil, or you could put a dusting of cinnamon on that. If you are, just looking to maybe enhance the dreams on your vision board, anoint them with cinnamon oil, or sprinkle a little, blow that with your mouth, a little cinnamon dust all over everything. Cinnamon can be a really powerful one, and really anything in that world of sweet spice. So, maybe clove, maybe cardamom, star anise. I never know if I'm saying that right. Any of those spices, let me know if you know how to say that right, can help to speed up the process of manifestation. And I just feel like, maybe these things are BS to you. Maybe they're woo and you believe in them, whatever. But I just feel like sometimes these very practical things, like almost all of us have cinnamon in our spice cabinet, it's a placebo effect, so, why not try it? Why not put a little dusting of cinnamon on your vision board or your grid, or, whatever your dreams and desires are that you've written down, dust it with cinnamon, see what happens. It's worth a shot, right? Scorpio season is all about diving into the things that we may not understand, the mysterious, the dark, the metaphysical, the mystical, the magical, and the unexplainable, the unseen. But within that, there is a lot of potent power. And sometimes we just need to try it and experience it. And through that experience, we start to see the magic and feel the magic, and the magic starts to move through us, and we witness it more, and we become more of a believer. So there's my 2 cents on using cinnamon and utilizing magic. And those are our 4 elements, right? So we have the earth, we have the fire, we have the wind, we have the water. Our 5th element is the ether. It is this space that we're using to connect to right now here on Instagram, or maybe you're watching the replay on YouTube, maybe you're listening to the replay on the podcast. Wherever you are, if you are tuning in digitally, electronically, through the internet, through this interweb thing that we connect on, this is the ether. And I like utilizing the ether for moon circles because it withstands space and time. So, when I fanned that eagle feather to you, or I sprayed you with the smudging spray, or I brought that scrying crystal ball, that black moonstone up to you to check into, you connected to that energy as well. You felt that, or you took in that energy, whether you realized it or not, because it's moving through the ether. I also like the fact that this moves beyond the realms of time, not only especially because, water energy moves beyond time, Scorpio energy moves beyond the veils of time and the constraints of like modern day boxing in. But we also, have the ability to reach more and more people with these moon circles in the future. There will always be growth and expansion in the ether, and there will always be growth and expansion with the audience of this moon circle, because more and more people will attune into it in the future. Sometimes people might even refer to it as just like past reference. Sorry, I said that twice, reference. But you know what I mean? Like, they might look back and want to reflect, and they might tune into the circle in the future, and that continues to add to things too. So always growing, always expanding the energy here in the ether, and that's why I like to utilize this space. Lisa says she has 2 types of cinnamon. Lisa, this is a cinnamon you gave me. So, hey girl, hey. Got our witchy cinnamons here. Love it. Okay. So now that we have brought in our elements officially into our circle, let's actually call on the guides and guardians of the elements of the 5 directions to enhance our circle, protect our circle, bring in more energy, guidance, attunements tonight. So whenever you're ready, if you want to close your eyes, you can. Otherwise, you can simply breathe. I'm going to close my eyes because I like to move into a space of prayer here. So I'm going to start with a deep breath in. And as I exhale, I begin to invite in the guides and guardians of the East with the element of air. The direction of the East reminds us that there are always new beginnings, new days, new dawns, and new moons are the same. There's always a time to, check back in with the sun, to reunite with the sun, to find the light again in the darkness, to begin a new journey, a new lunar cycle, and maybe just to take a fresh breath. Sometimes we just need that fresh breath, and that alone can make great change, for we know that pranayama has the ability to control our life force energy. We thank the guides and guardians of the East with their element of air for being in our circle tonight. And as we take a deep breath in and out, we now invite in the guides and guardians of the South with their element of fire that burns strongly with the archetypes of the phoenix and the Indra Agni of Vedic astrology, Vishaka Nakshatra of this moon, Scorpio energy of this moon, energy of transformation. The heat comes in now to help us build discipline towards our spiritual practices, discipline and devotion to the worthiness of our joy and pleasure. Also bringing in the fires of change and transformation in whatever way that we need them. We let the fires of cremation burn away what no longer serves, so that we can transform those versions of ourselves that we are now ready to let die and move on. We thank the guides and guardians of the South with their element of fire for being here. And as we take a deep breath in and out, we now invite in the guides and guardians of the West, element of water, strongly impacting the energy of this Scorpio new moon. Water represents time, both the time constraints that we put ourselves to, connect ourselves to, and also the concept of letting go of time, knowing that time is relative. Time is something we create. We've even come out of recent time change in many places. And so as we invite in the element of water to our circle tonight, we let it purify us, wash away what no longer serves, and help us to move with a fluid state. And we thank the guides and guardians of the West with their water for being here tonight in our circle. And as we take a deep breath in and out, we now invite in the guides and guardians of the North, element of earth, all of the earth tools that we've brought into our circle tonight, the crystals, the smudging plants, the fire that only happens on this earth with a certain chemical way, chemical reaction, the elements of water and wind and nature. And also the concept of the North honing in the guidance of our ancestors, those that have been here before us, those that are channeling energy to us and guiding us, and those that are preparing us for their journey, preparing us to create their home so that they can come down and inhabit as well. We thank the guides and guardians of the North with their element of earth for being in our circle tonight. And finally, we invite in with a deep breath the guides and guardians of the fifth element, the ether, the Akash, all that ever was, all that ever will be, angels, archangels, deities, ascended masters, source consciousness, source energy, whatever we want to label it. It doesn't even have to be named. We can certainly feel it. We can connect to it. We are part of it and we return to it. It is always here, guiding us, molding us and shaping us, helping us to find our truest nature, our truest self, our truest voyage and path. We thank the guides and guardians of the fifth element, the ether, for being in our circle tonight. I'm going to switch up my seat just because I need to stretch my legs. And I invite you to, of course, always be comfortable. I could talk a lot tonight. I'm going to try to keep it under 90 minutes, but there's a lot going on. Scorpio energy. We're in Scorpio season. Anytime we're in the energy of Scorpio, we are dealing with transformation. We have navigated an eclipse portal, which is kind of like a full moon and a new moon at the same time. It's almost like a Mercury retrograde on fast forward. It's hard to explain, but eclipses give us a portal to jump through to fast forward to the next evolution of our life. And Scorpio energy itself embodies evolution. It's not like we always have an eclipse season during Scorpio season. It just happened to occur that way this time around. But Scorpio does embody evolution. First, there is this low-lying scorpion that's in the desert and retreating into the sand and the caves and, will point out its stinger and attack when triggered. And there's a lot of toxin, a lot of poison. There's a lot of discomfort, constant molting of the exoskeleton. It can be a really intense process. And it happens over and over and over again because the scorpion is always growing. And scorpions can live to be pretty old. They can, average lifespan is anywhere from like 6 to 15 years, but they can live to be like 30 to 50 years old. So they're in this constant molting, growing, shedding process, and it can be a pretty intense experience. And, we can also take that symbology to the, energetic, the metaphorical, the emotional that we experience as well. There's also the archetype of the eagle, still something that molts, the bird, still something that's a little, bird of prey, kind of intense energy, will attack you if provoked. Don't mess with my stuff. Very protective of its young and of its food. Survival, right? Survival of its bloodline, survival of itself. And also, having hindsight. Being able to soar above things and kind of rise above things. So not so low-lying anymore. Not so much in those low-lying frequencies. Frequencies are becoming more buoyant and uplifted. But also there's still this, inability to find cohesiveness, community, collaboration, camaraderie. The eagles prefer to be alone. Kind of hang out to mate and then go back to being alone. Hang out to raise their young, go back to being alone. And, Scorpio energy is like that. We might feel this pull to be a hermit right now, but then we also feel bad and guilty about that. So we go socialize, but then that's exhausting. And we have to retreat again. And then we don't want to retreat too much because that could be depressing, because seasonal affective disorder. So we try to put ourselves out there again, but then it's overstimulating because we're gearing towards the holidays. You get it. It's a pattern, right? It's back and forth, back and forth. And then we have the Phoenix. And the Phoenix, you know, still goes through that life, death, rebirth cycle, rising up out of the combustion of its flames and cremation, but not happening so often anymore. Able to really take time with its life and find deep wisdom and maybe find deep connection with others and a deep sense of spirituality. All things that we could be experiencing with this moon. We could be experiencing with both this moon and Scorpio season, these different archetypes, whether we're Scorpio or not. We could also be experiencing these things with the energy of the new moon, so only for the next few days or this weekend. You might also feel this deeply if you are a Scorpio. You might embody one of these archetypes or two or all three in your life. It really depends on what you're going through evolutionarily. But this is a time of change. This is a time for us to trust that there are other versions of ourselves waiting to happen for us to step into. And there are also maybe versions of ourselves that are happening right now at the same time in another realm, in another dimension. But we can't quite get there until we let this version of ourselves go, let this version of ourselves die. So this is what the energy of this new moon is about, as much as Scorpio season. The new moon is about new beginnings, letting go of the old, moving into the darkness, letting things die. And it's no different for you and I as we go through this journey with whatever, you know, we're ready to release as a version of ourselves. I gotta clear my throat, sorry. Whatever we're ready to release in like our programming, our behaviors, our patterns, our thoughts, our self-talk. It's all coming up because it's time to let it go. Now, it's not easy to let go of deep traumas, wounds, memories, emotions, triggers, behaviors, patterns, habits, right? We have to really go to battle to do that. We have to gather our energy and be strong and courageous for change. This particular new moon in Scorpio this year also has Mars combust and opposing Uranus. Mars is the planet of war, and it is combust with the sun and the moon in Scorpio. So we have Mars, sun, and the moon all in Scorpio right now. And this is all opposing Uranus, the planet of rebellion and revolution and freedom and innovation. And there is this pull right now to get back to ourselves, to get back to our rituals, our routines, the practices that support a better version of ourselves, our manifestation work, all of the things that are more kind of woo and out there and mystical, magical, metaphysical, that don't sort of vibe with the everyday modern world. It's still time to get back into those practices right now. So we did scrying, right? To kind of tune into things. I suggested maybe you just work with crystals, or you work with essential oils. You can work with different tools and elements. We've got the tarot tonight. You can do, tarot and oracle cards, pendulums, tea leaves. There are so many things that you can use to help you during this time and to enhance your strength with divination. And this is also a great time to maybe just ask yourself, what do you desire to learn more about? Or if there's a certain path that you're trying to go down right now, this may be the time that you want to pursue it. And you don't have to know a lot about it, right? I mentioned this earlier. When I first started doing tarot readings and pulling tarot cards, I wasn't doing it professionally. I was doing it with myself for fun, for a learning experience and to see what would happen, but I didn't know anything about it. When I first started using essential oils, I didn't know anything about aromatherapy, and it was really scary. And when I didn't know anything about crystals and crystal healing, it was a lot and it was really scary, but I just trusted in that venture out and knew that the education and the absorbency of that knowledge would come over time. But, this is a time that we have so many tools that we could be utilizing to find these answers that we're seeking, or to enhance our magic, or enhance our magnetic abilities and our attraction, or to heal our wounds. We have the tools. We have the weapons. This is where I'm going with this. Be with me. Stay with me here. But these are the weapons that we have when we need to go energetically into battle for change. We are creatures of habit. So whatever habits you have right now, if they are not supporting your practices, if they're not supporting your manifestation work, if they're not supporting a better version of yourself, then it's time to change. I'm trying to find more insight and ways to say this, and the universe is just like, no, it's time to change. Just stop being cowardly about it and do it. So go to battle, right? Maybe you have to fight that alarm clock and get up a little bit earlier, fight the sunrise, get a little bit up a little bit earlier to do some work in the morning before you begin your day. Maybe you have to fight your internal psyche to shift some very simple habits, like drinking more water, or changing the way you eat, or making sure that you move your body more on a regular basis. Maybe you really have to go to battle with your psyche and your willpower and your integrity to make sure that you show up to those things. Maybe you need to harness something really, really deep, because you're going to battle with a version of yourself that is controlling you, that you are ready to let die. Maybe you're just holding up your swords and you're setting boundaries because you've got to, set up your walls, create your sacred spaces, and let people know that there are certain non-negotiables in your life so that you can be a more balanced, healed, well, happy, joyful, blissful person. Amy said lately she's learned that patience is a weapon. This is coming from the watery Scorpio. Yeah, water energy is interesting, right? Because it is time, it's past, present, future, but it's also us letting go of that. Patience is absolutely a weapon. And that's that patience that we need to harness right now with this Scorpio new moon, because we're absolutely planting very magical, powerful seeds. These are like Jack and the Beanstalk type of bean seeds that are going to grow really, really tall, big vines with big fruits and big, exciting things. And we're going to be able to climb up those vines and go into a whole different world with our harvest once these things come true and these dreams come true. But we have to be patient. And we also have to be patient with ourselves in the process. Change doesn't happen overnight, right? So you're not going to change overnight with this new moon. It's going to take time. Maybe if you keep working little steps every day, by the fourth day when the crescent moon arrives, you feel more momentum to keep going or do more. But be patient with yourself in the process of change and transformation as well. Be patient if you're not ready to move forward. That's okay. I've been having conversations with people lately about different things, about how some people are just not ready to move on or move forward yet. And that is perfectly okay. But having that patience with yourself is really important right now in the darkness, to really hold yourself with grace, with love, and, with that ability to see that there are things happening and you are doing work, and it's making big change on the inside, even if you don't see it on the outside. Scorpio is all about these things on the other side of the veil, right? That we can't see, we can't explain, can't measure. Time, right? Anytime that I'm doing a Reiki session with somebody and they have a matter of concern that has to do with time, like when is this thing going to happen? It's like, okay, we get the answer from the universe that yes, it's going to happen. And then we say, okay, when? Every time, I kid you not, they say soon. Soon. So time is relative. Be patient in the process of what you're working on and who you're working to become. Lisa said she started to ride her bike again and she joined the Burlington Y this morning. Yeah, new beginnings. New moon, new beginnings. I received my Reiki master. That's putting me on a new path. I did a reading from a brand new tarot deck with this new moon, not for our reading, but for myself, selfishly a little bit. It was a birthday tarot deck, so I did a reading for myself. Yeah, there are opportunities here to do things differently or do things new. So embrace that. So battle can show up in a variety of ways right now with this Mars energy and also with this Uranus energy. There's also, with Uranus opposing this new moon, there is this deep feeling to just kind of be a rebel, to kind of not do the norm or not do things in the same way, to not also really care what people think about you. Like if you've been wanting to step into your witchiness, or you've been wanting to do more witchy things, or if you've just been wanting to do more woo things, stop worrying about what others think. This is the moon to stop worrying about all of that as well. So I invite you to find your practices. This is a really good moon to do that. And those practices are only going to help you, find more stability and balance as we move forward through the rest of this darkness, through this rest of this dark shadow season. Okay, let's shift gears for just a moment. Let's go over to the world of the East. There's a lot going on there. I've kind of written about it, but on November 10th, a few days before this new moon, there was the celebration of Lakshmi's birthday, the goddess of wealth and abundance and blessings and fortune. There was also a birthday of Sri Dhanvantari. He is the father of Ayurvedic medicine. He is part of my lineage with Vedic Thai Yoga bodywork. So both of these, deities, entities, people, they are representative of, abundance and wellness going hand in hand on the same day at the same time. And it's a very interesting time right now because it's also Diwali in India, and it's the Hindu festival of light, where we are looking to find our inner light, our inner healing, our inner shine through all of the wounds, traumas, sicknesses, dis-ease, things that we may be going through. We, learn to seek out that light from within so that we feel more blissful and joyful as that light starts to grow. This moon is also in Vishaka Nakshatra, which is the lunar mansion of purpose, devotion. It is the star of devotion, the star of purpose. It's sometimes represented by scales. Remember, this is Vedic astrology, so it's one astrological sign back before what we are viewing in the West. So in the West right now, we're in Scorpio, but this moon is technically in the energy of more of Libra in Vedic astrology, and that is representative of the scales. There can also be a symbolism with like a forked branch or a forked road, forked path, and this is a moon that brings in an energy of choice. So we can choose to stay where we are, or we can choose to evolve. This nakshatra, this lunar mansion, is ruled by Indra Agni energy, wind, fire energy. We can choose to blow along with the wind, move on into our next evolution, kind of let the old versions of ourselves die. I was playing Dust in the Wind for my son today. He was by Kansas. He was loving it. Makes me think of that song. We can also embrace the fires of cremation if we need to kind of burn things away passionately and intensely. We can bring in those fires as well. But, whether you're looking at it on the western side of the world with Scorpio or the eastern side of the world with Vishaka, this is a time that we're devoting towards the next evolution of ourself. We're devoting our energy towards embracing transformation and change rather than resisting it. So with this moon, you should be seeking out healing ultimately. This is a healing moon. We talked about that poison with the scorpion, with the peacock ore here. The scorpion's toxin, poison, is also its antidote. So sometimes these wounds, these festering toxic things inside of us, these versions of ourselves, it's not even a version of ourselves that we are anymore. It's a cringy silhouette of a memory. But when we think about these things, we think about these things we went through, the things we experienced, the things that hurt us, the way that we hurt ourselves, disappointment, shame, all of that darkness, all of that shadow. We have to, learn how all of that can also enhance our spirit. And, can all of that toxicity, can all of that poison also be an antidote to our healing and to becoming our next evolution? I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot tonight, so bear with me here. It's hard to put into words sometimes, and my channeling is just like crazy from my energetic attunement this weekend. But every dark time that we go through gives us an opportunity to turn it into light, to find the wisdom, to find the love, to find the gratitude for it, and to turn it into light. I mentioned my fertility journey tonight. I have experienced quite a few pregnancy losses in my fertility journey. I have been pregnant many, many times at this point over the past 6 to 7 years. I have one child. He's 4.5 years old. That is a dark experience and a lot of death that I've had to go through, and a lot of acceptance and surrender and grief and just many, many, many things that can't even be named in the spirit of Scorpio season and what they feel. Regardless, I have gratitude for it because I can relate to other women who have gone through loss. I lost my father to suicide. Really, really dark situation. Put me into a lot of grief, put me into a state of alcoholism, depression. I'm not in those places anymore, obviously, but can I find the antidote to that grief? Yeah, I can now relate to others who have gone through deep grief of losing a parent, losing somebody to suicide, those who have gone through the deep realms of alcoholism and healed that and become more sober. I was a unique case. My alcoholism came up during my grief and disappeared, and now I'm fine and I have control. I don't really drink. I have a virgin liver from all the detoxing I've done, but you get it. Like, these things that could be really horrible experiences for us actually give us the ability to become stronger and to become more powerful and to actually open ourselves up for more love on the other side. So this moon might be a good time to search into that darkness of what has been triggering you or what does trigger you. Anything that feels wounded, anything that feels like it might be festering a little bit right now. See if you can give that grace, love, gratitude even. See if you can transform those things as much as your whole self right now. Because the more you start to transform those little bits of darkness in you, the more you're going to transform yourself as a whole. Anyway, it's all connected. So I would like us to do a little bit of a practice. We're only going to do it for about 5 minutes. I would recommend you do it more for about 15 minutes, maybe 13 minutes if you want to use a magical number, 22, 11, any of those numbers. We are going to do something called the Tritak. This is a fire gazing meditation, and this is meant to help us meditate on the flame of transformation. Scorpio new moons are a time for us to turn within, to find more stillness, to find more quiet, to seek out on the other side where there is a lot, where all of the answers reside, and there is a lot to be explained, but we have to take time to listen to it and tune into it. So when we do a Tritak, like I said, we're going to do fire gazing. So I've just got a very tiny candle here, and I'm just going to light it and hold it up here, and we're going to observe it for about 5 minutes, the dancing of the flame. But you could stare at a fire. You could stare at a fire tonight. You could stare at a fire on a digital screen. You could look at a volcano. You could meditate on the top of a mountain, the center of a rose, a sacred geometric symbol. It doesn't have to be fire. What we're really trying to do here, our purpose of this practice, is to bring in more stillness, more quiet. I have even been talking for about an hour, and there is a lot to process and take in. So just for the next 5 minutes, I'm going to be silent. I'm going to hold up this candle. We're all going to stare at it. We're all going to stare at the flame, and we're going to just see what comes through, just like we did with that scrying practice. So I'm going to take a deep breath in and out. And I'm going to move into silence now as we light this candle. Once we are finished with the Tritak, I will simply blow out the candle so you know it's complete. Let's begin. So another form of scrying. Obviously, that was a very shaky Tritok and very casual would be the name I would say, because ideally I would not have that shaky holding there with the candle, and you'd have it on a surface that wasn't moving. But you can do your own Tritok at home, your own fire gazing at home with a candle, or like I said, some of those other suggestions. I would suggest that you do it a little bit longer. But before I talk about that, I was going to say, if you're using a candle for your Tritok at home, if you have a dark colored surface, so maybe like a dark colored plate, maybe a dark colored piece of like you could even take a clear like a baking dish and put like a dark piece of paper underneath it. But again, you're creating kind of that dark reflective surface. Pour a little bit of water or oil over it, and then drip the candle wax after your Tritok into that water or oil, and see, like, read it kind of like tea leaves, like see what shapes come through, symbolism, if there's any meaning there. That's another form of scrying that you can try as well. But with the Tritok itself, I don't know what everybody's experience was, but with me, I did have one of my eyes teared up a little bit. It's my right eye, which is my masculine side. I feel like that softened a little bit with this Tritok. It is perfectly normal to have your eyes tear. In fact, it's purifying and cleansing to have your eyes tear, to let a tear actually fall from your eye and out of your eye can be really potent and powerful. Feel free to share in the comments what you experienced there in just those 5 minutes of watching the dancing flame. A couple of times I noticed a shift in the complete background of the color and the energy. I don't know if anybody else saw that. I saw that happen a couple of times. For a moment, I felt like it was this dancing woman, almost with like this light hat on, which was interesting. Sometimes I would see like the orange, white, yellow of the flame. Other times I've seen more of a blue or something else. Another thing that you can do sometimes is we actually didn't do a full proper Tritok, because after you finish the gaze onto the flame, whenever you're done and you're finished, you're supposed to close your eyes and just continue to see that flame in your mind's eye and your third eye and anything else that comes to mind as well. And again, this is another form of scrying. I am all about practical magic, where you may have some tools, like you might have cinnamon in your cabinet and we can work with that, or you may have a candle and a glass baking dish and a dark piece of paper you can slide under it, or a dark tablecloth or sheet or jacket or sweater or something you can put underneath it. I also trust that you can simply use yourself and what you have here. So lots of different things there, but I just wanted to share that the Tritok itself, just staring at a flame, closing your eyes, seeing what comes through, if anything at all, just feeling, sensing, processing, can be a really powerful thing. If you're looking to burn a weight no longer serves, staring at a flame is also a way to do that. This opens up your pineal gland and your third eye and kind of unlocks that sixth energy center where your psychic senses reside and work the most. So, okay, we are coming up on about 75 minutes. I don't have much else to say about the Scorpio new moon, Scorpio season, Vishaka Nakshatra. If you have any questions, any comments, anything that you want to bring voice to, certainly put that in the comments. We are going to take some time to just talk about the tarot cards that I pulled for this new moon and this lunar cycle. And then we'll pretty much just say a prayer. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to say a prayer. The veil is thin. The energy is powerful right now, and I want the guides and guardians to be with us. I will release them with our full moon virtual circle, our full moon transmissions. So for now, We'll just be grateful for the presence of the guides and guardians we welcomed in. And when we do close our circle with breath and intention, we will invite those guides and guardians to continue to be with us if they need to be, or if we call on them throughout the rest of this lunar cycle. So before I dive into the tarot reading, I always like to take another deep breath and just thank the cards for their presence and their message. I'm going to do that now. Just saying a little gratitude to the tarot cards for being in our circle tonight, knowing that the cards do not lie with their messages. We trust in what they have to say, what they have to channel to us, and what they represent. We thank the tarot for being here now. So typically I pull 3 cards, past, present, and future. This time around I pulled 4 because one flew out as I was shuffling and it was too meaningful to not include. So let's start with our past card. I pulled the Moon in Reverse. And this is from the Egyptian Tarot, by the way, which only has the major arcana. It's 22 cards of the major arcana. The minor arcana, so your cups, swords, pentacles. My God, what am I missing? Wands. Those are not there in this deck. It's all major. But with this past, maybe I'll back up. We needed to work with major intense tarot energy with this moon because it's an intense major energy. As my Reiki master put it, this is big dick energy. Like, this is the magical, most mystical moon. Sorry if I said that too loud and you had kids around. But this is the Moon in reverse. This is what we're pulling for our past card. And I just like the way the card looks in general. We have this black and white pyramid, this black and white dog. We actually have the scorpion on the card. You can't make that up. And this is our past card where we moved into Scorpio season a few weeks ago. I also think this is a little bit of a play on shadow and light. Maybe that eclipse season that we just traversed through over the past few weeks, over the past previous lunar cycle, and also the shadow season that we're dealing with now. You know, we're learning to find our shadows in the light, remembering that we're not perfect, ultra spiritual human beings, that we are human beings. And so with that, there's always going to be a little bit of a shadow and a humanness to that. We also are the light within the darkness. So even in that darkness, we always have the light within that we can access and we can cultivate and we can grow when we want to. The moon is about our internal spaces. It's about our internal emotional processing. And when we pull the moon in reverse, it is telling us that yes, we have been on a very emotional roller coaster. It's been a wild ride energetically for the past few months or so, but now we can remind ourselves that we can also find more balance. So whenever we are tuning into our internal moon, our sacral chakra, our sacred spaces, we balance all of these emotional waves with the other sides of the sacred womb. Things like creativity, things like manifestation, things like intuition, things like tapping into the mystical and magical. Even embracing your moon cycle, your lunar cycle can be something really potent for transformation. So in the past, we have moved through quite a bit energetically. We're still in it with this Scorpio lunar cycle. And now we're being asked to simply turn more within, pay more attention to what's going on in the inside world of us so that we can find more balance and healing in our future. For our present card, I pulled another reverse card. This time it is Death. We have also the scales on the card. Remember that in this present time, our moon is in the lunar mansion of Vishaka Nakshatra, represented by the scales of Libra. So how coincidental is it that not only did we pull our past card with the little scorpion on it relative to the energy we're navigating right now, but we're also dealing with the scales. We're dealing with death, life, rebirth, transformation. We're trying to find more balance between our work within and our work on the outside. All of this is representative of the death card in reverse. Now, anytime we pull the death card, it's not necessarily about death. There are usually some other cards that come through to represent that. This is more of a spiritual death, an energetic death, a metaphorical death. This might be a letting go of something, letting go of a relationship, a person, a job, an effort, a pursuit, a project, etc. However, that's all when the card is upright. When the card is reversed, when we have death reversed, this is about our relationship to ourself. This is about letting old versions of ourself die, old constructs, old programming, old beliefs, old habits, old ways of humanness. It's time to let those die and be recycled, because there is this new version of ourselves. I don't know if you can see it, but there's like kind of there's these little people on each side too. They're kind of like coming out of the ground, coming out of the grave. But those are our ancestors, and they're telling us right now, like, you have so much coming on the other side. You have so much to step into, and we're preparing it for you. But you gotta let go of these old versions of yourself that are old bloodlines, they're old ways of thought, they're old patterns, it's old generational karma. It's time to let all that go so that you can truly transform and rebirth yourself, recycle yourself into the person and the version of yourself that you are supposed to become. I also find it interesting that this card is the number 13, and this is November 13th for this moon. So for our future card, it's an upright card. We have the Empress represented by the number 3. Again, we've got that life, death, rebirth coming in. And we've got the Sun really ruling the energy of this card. We also have Isis on there. This is the goddess of fertility. So we are being reminded, and remember, this is coming after death. So if we just learn to let go of these versions of ourselves, let these old ways and old, it's almost like the scorpion, right? Like we're shedding our exoskeleton, we're molting right now. So if we can peel away that layer and let that part of us die, we can move into midwifing a new version of ourselves that is ready to birth or like come out of this deep internal desire for change. You know, fire always has to do with transformation, also representative on the card. Notice the female symbol up there at the top. This is reminding us also that we are in a Scorpio lunar cycle. This is a time of deep feminine, sensual, sexual, artistic, intuitive, creative energy. So as you move into the future of this lunar cycle, the future of this shadow season, and the future next year, embrace what you are midwifing under the surface. The things that are ready to be birthed. They're coming. They're just not quite here yet, so be patient. And finally, that bonus card, the one that just flew out in the middle of me trying to do my reading, we have the High Priestess. This is Vishaka Nakshatra. It's represented by the number 2, that forked branch, the scales, the duality, the should I stay or should I go? Should I stay as who I am or should I step in this new version of myself? The High Priestess, she's sitting at the temple of Isis. Again, I love the order of these cards because you can't make this stuff up. So this came with Isis, right? So we have the High Priestess sitting at the temple of Isis. We have Isis doing all of this work behind the scenes, but the High Priestess has to show up to her practices in order to tap into that magical energy. She is devotional to what she needs to do in order to manifest the life of her dreams. Also notice the moons, the crescent moons there. Those are representative of Ganesha's elephant tusk. And I mentioned the birthday of Lakshmi and Sri Davantarti. But this particular Vishaka Nakshatra, this moon, is also ruled by Ganesh. And so Ganesha's energy is telling us to get out of our own way, to get rid of the obstacles that are standing in our way of spiritual wellness and spiritual health. And also just, step into that bigger version of ourself that wants to show up to those things on a regular basis, right? The humanness in us, right? This humanness has to die. I got to get up, check my phone, tend to my emails, all the things that don't really matter until we tend to our spiritual health, our spiritual hygiene. That's the humanness side. And notice how she's got kind of the shadow below her and the light above her. The light is there, shining on her, guiding her, leading the way, leading the path. You know what you have to do right now. You know what you need to do on a regular basis, maybe a daily basis, to become a better version of yourself and to reach these desires and these goals and these dreams and actually make these intentions mean something that you're setting. You know what you need to do. The High Priestess reminds you to step into it, to start doing it, and to start doing it right now. So this is what I have for you, Moon Sisters, Moon Brothers. We're coming right up on our 90-minute time frame. Not that I like to put ourselves in a time constraint, but I do like to keep it limited because I do respect your time, of course. I just want to say thank you for being here tonight, or thank you for attending the replay or listening to the replay. If that's where you are, your energy is important to the livelihood and the vitality of this moon circle. Your contributions through the chat or even through your energetic intentions are felt, are seen, are heard, and I do appreciate you showing up to spend this time with me. I encourage you to use this lunar new moon to dive into the mystical, dive into the woo, anywhere that you're attracted to, whether you know anything about it or not, just dive into it. Maybe you just dive into practicing. Maybe you seek out some guidance to help you dive into it, but get into it. Get into the waters of the woo. It's a magical space. It can provide a lot of healing. And, this moon is a medicinally healing moon. It's asking us, to get into the medicine of our spiritual practices, but also to seek out the medicine in any way that we need it. So pay attention to the magic that you have right now that you can tap into, that's already within you, but you just maybe need to be reminded of. Tap into your light as we are in this dark time, and believe in yourself, believe in who you can become, believe in what you can create, believe in what is out there for you to access. It's all just there on the other side. You just have to take the time to reach out, go after it, and go try to grasp it. I will be popping into your inbox in the next few days with a couple of exciting announcements, so make sure you pay attention to that. Of course, those announcements will also be here on social media, so wherever you're tuning in, you won't miss out if you're checking back in with me. We will also plan to do a virtual full moon circle celebrating the full moon in Gemini. That's going to be in 2 weeks from now, Monday, October. It's October 58th, right? My witchy ways are like October forever. Samhain, darkness, witches new year. November 27th, here in 2 weeks, we'll meet again. The Monday after Thanksgiving, we will meet to talk about and celebrate the full moon in Gemini, and we hopefully will continue to meet with these moon circles moving forward every 2 weeks or so. I do plan to get back into the groove of hosting them. I am excited to be energetically available now after taking that short little sabbatical that was much needed. So thank you for showing up again. Thank you for coming back. Invite your friends to the next circle. Share this one out. Share the recording out if you think it's relevant to others. And until we meet again, may we all be happy, full of joy, full of bliss. Oh, I'm going to talk about one more thing just real quick. I'm just going to say it. Sex magic. Sex magic. This sensual, taboo, Scorpio moon that goes against the norm, and we're opposing Uranus, rebellion, revolution, freedom. It's sex magic. I'm not going to tell you about it. That's a whole other video. That's a whole other live. But look it up. Might be of use for you with the Scorpio season, with this Scorpio lunar portal, with this new moon time. Might help with your manifestation, your belief in joy, or your ability to believe in your worthiness of pleasure, joy, abundance, success, and so much more. So until we meet again, may we all be happy, joyful, full of bliss, full of ananda. May we all be healthy and well, not only physically, but also emotionally and energetically. May we be balanced. May we feel safe. May we have safe spaces. May we have sacred spaces to retreat to. May we have sanctuary. May we feel peace and ease and harmony and equanimity and equality. And may we feel love, be loved, and love one another. And so it is, and so it is, and so it is, and so it mote be. Blessed be. Namaste.